Hi there. So today I thought I would take you guys around and just give you a bit of an update on the planters that I planted this year, along with a couple of projects that I wasn't really sure how they would turn out, and just show you how they're doing. So we are starting up here on my deck, and I'm going to show you the different planters I have. This year I ended up planting kind of all my vegetables and herbs, which wasn't very much this year, up here on my deck because I have a rabbit problem. I have a raised garden bed over there that I've had for years, and every year the bunnies slash sometimes the deer slash sometimes the groundhog comes around and has a little snack. And so it's just been a little bit difficult the last few years to grow vegetables out there, far enough away from my house where the critters kind of feel comfortable going and snacking at it all the time. So anyway, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna take a break this year. I'm not gonna put vegetables out there. I'm gonna plant them up on my deck where the critters can't get to them, and then I'll just plant some cut flowers out in the raised garden bed. And I am so glad I did that this year because it's been a lot of fun. Obviously nobody's been eating any of the plants up here, and I don't have that many. I just have like a handful of things that I actually eat. I used to grow all kinds of different things and I never ate any of them, so now I just stick to the things that we actually eat. So anyway, let's go around and I will show you how everything is doing up here. This little planter is super tiny. I wasn't sure how I was gonna do with a tomato in here. Not only did I put a grape tomato in here, I put 3 green bean plants, and I have gotten so many green beans off these little plants already. I have to come and pick all these off as well, but there's 3 little green bean plants in here and they're doing really great. The grape tomatoes are throwing on fruit and some of them are even ripening. There's another little cluster up here and then a cluster up here. So I'd say that was a pretty good experiment. I wasn't sure how they were going to do in that tiny pot, but they're doing pretty good. These 2 black bags are filled with sweet potatoes. So my brother this year, him and his family came over. They have a beautiful garden, which I got to get out and give you a tour of their garden because it's just really, really beautiful. But anyway, he gave me some sweet potato slips that he grew, and I put them in these bags and they're doing great. So I can't remember the harvest date on these. I think it was 90 days or 80 days. I can't remember. But we hopefully should have some sweet potatoes here at the end of the season. And I love these bags. I can try to find a link for them. My husband got these for me on Amazon, and they hold moisture so well, but also let the plant dry out. So they're very easy to keep the plants watered, and it grows them really well. I'm not really sure why they work so well, but maybe it's just the texture of the black bag and the color, the black color, like keeps it hydrated, but it also lets it breathe. So those bags are really awesome. I love them a lot. They're actually for potatoes, regular potatoes, and the bottom flips up, which I'm not gonna do because I think the dirt would come out, but you're supposed to flip this up and you can harvest the potatoes. But anyway, here's another planter that is looking great. This is another grape tomato. It's got tons of clusters on it. Getting ready for some more up there. And I did have to come in here and stake everything up. So I've got a stake on that one, a stake on that one, and these stakes just came with my roses that I bought and I saved them, and so I used them in my tomatoes. Here's another tomato. This one is a husky, I think, husky red, and it has lots of little tomatoes getting ready, some cluster there. So I'm really excited about all of these because they're in pretty small pots, and I wasn't sure how they were gonna do. This is another little thing my husband got me on Amazon. It's called Mr. Stacky. It is kind of like a mini version of those bigger kind that you see everywhere, and it's got 5 shelves on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it also has a little saucer at the bottom. I wasn't sure how this was gonna do because you can see I've got some tomatoes in there, also some green beans, and it is doing great. So here's another husky tomato. It's got a few different chunks of clusters on there, getting ready to ripen up. This is another husky tomato right here, and it's growing in this little tiny section, and it's doing just fine. I put a stake on that one as well. All my green beans are doing great. I have to come out here and pick all of them, but you can see they're just throwing on tons of beans, which is awesome. And I've already picked a bunch of them too. In the top I have strawberries, and I've already picked some of those strawberries. Those are super old strawberries, so I probably need to just get rid of these. But here's another tomato, another grape tomato, and it's got lots of different fruit. It's setting, and it's all coming out of that one little pot there. Got some parsley, let's see, oregano, basil, there's some thyme and all kinds of stuff, but this thing is just doing a lot better than I thought it was gonna do. And I've already picked a ton of stuff off this that I've been drying, like herbs and stuff that I've been drying. It's super easy to water. All of these spots right here have drainage holes, so whatever this container doesn't want, it drops into the one below. Over here, these are the geraniums that I overwintered last year. I got a bunch of geraniums for a clearance deal, planted them in my landscape last year, and at the end of the season last year I thought, you know what, I just want to see if I can overwinter these geraniums, because I know my grandma, she has a geranium that she overwinters every year, and I thought maybe there's like an easy way that you could do it. So I looked it up, and I found this lady called Susan's in the Garden, and she taught me how to overwinter these geraniums. You basically dig them up, shake all the dirt off, make sure the roots are dry overnight, and then you put them upside down in a paper bag, and that's it. You close the paper bag and leave them all winter long. I put them in the basement, and then about 6 weeks before you're planning on taking them outside for that next spring, you can plant them up. So you take them out of the bag, cut off any of the dead, plant them in the planter, and water them, watch them grow. I was very skeptical on how this is going to work because they literally looked like death when I took them out of the paper bag. I was like, I don't know about this. And they look like this. They're amazing. They are just the most gorgeous geraniums I've ever had. And they're just big and bold and beautiful. They flower like crazy. I come out here pretty much every day and deadhead them. That's how much they flower. So I'm super happy about this. And then this year I actually went and I bought more geraniums, and I'm planning to overwinter those as well. So I'm not even afraid to spend a little bit of money on geraniums anymore, because I know that I can save them for the following year. It's a really, really cool thing. So I encourage you to try it if you've never done it before and you love geraniums as much as I do. So yes, I think there's about 3 plants in that container. There's 2 plants in that container, and I think there's 3 plants in this container, and these are all from last year. This is just a little Hens and Chicks strawberry jar that I have from last year. Most of these were from last year, and then I got a couple new ones from my sister and just plugged them in, and I can't even remember which one it was. I think I plugged that one in and that one in maybe. Otherwise these just get overwintered in the pot just like this, and all I do is leave it outside somewhere kind of close to my house, but out far enough where it can get some snow on it for moisture throughout the season. This is a basil that I've already picked on so much, and just this past couple of days it started flowering, and I thought it was so pretty, so I just left it, and I might be done picking off of it, we'll see. But I've been just drying it for dry herbs, and I think it's so pretty. Here's another basil that's doing really well. I've picked off of this so many different times as well. So I'll probably continue to dry that. Everything is looking really great up here, and I'm just super excited about how my vegetables are doing, even though I don't really have that many. I might even get another Mr. Stacky next year and maybe do some peppers or something like that, now that I know that the critters obviously won't get up here and get them. I actually planted some beans out in my raised garden bed right there, and about 3 days later somebody came in and ate them all. So there you have it. Over here on this little corner of my deck, I've got a little trio of planters, and they're all doing really well. So this probably gets, I don't know, I'd say full sun from, let's see, the sun is about to pop up over the tree right there, and it's about 12:30. And so I'd say this gets full sun all the way from 12:30 to until the sun goes down. So it gets quite a bit of sun. I do have a hosta right here. This is a yellow polka dot bikini hosta in this cute little planter. I just dug this little hosta up from my yard. It was one of the plants that I had in my little dump area, and I put it in this cute little container with some moss that I got from my woods in there to kind of hold the moisture because it is in the full sun. This is a planter I got from Cherry Valley Gardens, and I just have a hens and chicks in it, and I gathered some rocks from my landscaping down here and just put like kind of cool colorful rocks in here around it to make it stand out a little bit. And I'm really excited because it is growing a bunch of little baby chicks that I can start and hopefully become their own hen. I tried to go with a kind of a red, white, and blue theme that wasn't so obvious. So I've got the Blue My Mind Evolvulus, which I love. This is like a super almost true blue color, and it blooms so much. I love it. This is a skyrocket grass. This is a boldly dark red geranium, and this is a cherry cordial begonia. This is the first time I tried this kind of begonia, and I love it. I love it a lot. But honestly, I love the big begonia more. The leaves on this one don't seem to turn as red as the big begonia ones do, and that's one of the things I really love about the red big begonias that I buy is in the sunshine, the leaves turn almost this color red, and so it just has a super amazing impact. This is still beautiful, and I love this foliage, but it's also been kind of attacked by the Japanese beetles. You can see. So anyway, these are doing really great. This is a tiny little variegated ivy geranium, and I love this so much. It's in a little container that my brother Kenny made a long time ago. He made my sister and I these cute little boxes. It used to have little rope handles on it, but it's so old that they just kind of rotted out. But my sister and I used to sell little boxes like this at the farmer's market back in the day when we did that together, and so I still have some boxes that my brother made, and I just put this little variegated ivy geranium in there. I think it looks really cute. This planter right here, I actually planted originally in a different pot. I planted it in a white, shallow kind of a dish. Well, it wasn't doing good at all. Like, it just looked like it was getting too much water. And sure enough, I looked at the bottom of the pot and there was no drainage. There was no drainage hole at all. And I was like, oh, that completely explains it. So just recently I took it out of that planter, and there's still, you can see the leaves are still trying to pop back on a couple of them. This one is looking a lot better. It looked horrible. This one right here, this fan flower, scaviola, it is starting to come back a little bit, but you can see it struggled a lot with all of that, with that drainage issue. So I cut some of them off, and I'm hoping that it kind of pops back. The celosia didn't skip a beat. this one has looked great ever since. But anyway, I took them out of that pot and I replanted it in this little flower pot, which is all right. I kind of liked the white better, but this will do. Over here is where I have my seashell planter, and you may have seen this make an appearance a couple movies ago, where I tried to make a replica of this out of hyper tufa mixture for my brother's girlfriend, and planted it up with hens and chicks and gave it to her. So I've had this for about a year now. I got this planter for about $11 at Lowe's last year on clearance, and I planted it up with a ton of hens and chicks, and then just some like creeping Jenny from my yard. This is from my yard. What else is from my yard? I don't remember now, but anyway, I think one of you asked me how I overwinter this, and I literally just leave it here. So you can see it's out in the open. This is right above it, right above my planter. I live in Michigan in a zone 4-5, and I do get snow, quite a bit of snow here, and it literally is covered in snow, like, you know, the majority of the winter whenever it's snowing out here, and it comes back looking just like this. I did not move it. I literally left it right in that same spot all winter. This planter is just beautiful. I think I put 3 impatiens in here. So there's one. This is a beacon impatient. I think there's like 1, 2, 3 beacon impatiens, a bunch of Tradescantia that my sister grew me from her greenhouse. They were tiny when I put them in here, little plugs. There's a canary begonia in here, which I am so excited about. I'm gonna totally buy some of these again next year, and I'm gonna try to overwinter these actually. What else is in here? There's actually a ton more stuff in here, but you can't hardly see it. Like there's a heuchera right there. That was overwintered from last year. There's a heuchera hiding, but I think there's something else in there, but I don't even know anymore. But it is just beautiful, and I love the color of the, well, all the colors, but the color of the beacon impatient and the Tradescantia up next to my Summon Substance hosta. And it's just in a terracotta pot. Over here I have a little trio of plants. So that hosta right there, that is a frozen margarita, and I dug that up from, here I'll show ya, right here. So I've got 3 frozen margarita hosta right there, and I had 3 more right here, but I had to move them in order for them to put the deck in, or the steps in. So I dug those 3 up, and I put them in pots. So I've got one here, it's just in a big pot there. I've got one, it's like a mess under here. One there. They're about ready to getting ready to bloom too. And yeah, I've got all my pool stuff under here, but and then one right there. So they are doing great. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with those over the winter, because I don't know if I'm going to leave them in the pots or transplant them back into the landscape. I'm not really sure yet. They are a big, giant, beautiful hosta, and I don't want to lose them. I have had luck wintering over hosta in the containers. Like for instance, this is one I wintered over. This is one I wintered over that came back just fine. It's about to bloom. I've got a couple over there that I wintered over. So I probably could just leave them where they're at and hope that they come back. So who knows? I mean, most of the time I run out of time at the end of the season, and I just say, we're just gonna try it because we don't have time for anything else. But anyway, here's a little planter that I just dug up most of the stuff from my yard. So this is a sedum that I dug up from my yard, and I think it's called Firecracker from the Sun Dazzler series. This is another sedum that I dug up from my yard. I thought it was called John Creech, but one of you told me that's not what it is. And I can't remember what you told me. I'll have to go back and look. But this hosta I dug up from my yard. It's doing great. And then I just threw some impatiens in there that my sister and I grew from seed. Well, my sister grew. There's also a dark reader geranium in here. This is pretty much all stuff I overwintered. So this is a cinnamon stick heuchera that is blooming. Let's see what else we have in here. This is the yellow polka dot bikini hosta that is getting ready to bloom. And then this is as well as that same sedum that I dug up from my yard, and then I just threw some impatiens in there for color. Those ones are looking really pretty too. I'm going to overwinter the sedum and heuchera and hosta again this year, and I'll do the same thing. I'll just leave them right where they sit. This planter over here is one of my favorites. I've got a Southern Comfort heuchera in here that is blooming. It just looks beautiful. I also have a obsidian heuchera in here. Here's actually one of the stalks that's done blooming, and it's throwing up another set of blooms. Here's another hosta that I just dug up from my yard and put in here, a volunteer, and then I filled the rest of it with beacon impatiens that are kind of just like spilling out everywhere. But these two plants right here, the obsidian and the Southern Comfort, this is probably the 3rd or 4th year that they've been in this pot. And this is literally just a little galvanized pot here, and I winter them over just like this, just right in this spot right here out in the open, so that they get some moisture from the snow. This little pot here, I wintered over that hosta and this and heuchera. This heuchera is called an evening gown and is also blooming right now. So that's really pretty. This one is a proven winner. So I also threw in some of that other sedum that I dug up from my yard up in a little patch up front. And this is just in a little terracotta pot. It's doing great. I threw some impatiens in there for a little bit of color. And it sits right there. This is another planter, just like the first one I showed you on the corner over there. It's got the Blew My Mind evolvulus, the skyrocket grass, the boldy red geranium, and the cherry cordial begonia. So I really love that. I ended up getting 3 of these planters. So I've got one over there, one right there, and then one right there. That's my 3rd one. And then this little planter right here, I just love so much. It is needs deadheaded here. These geraniums just are putting on so many blooms. Like I said, I could come out here and deadhead every day. I might as well deadhead that too. And you wanna, when you're deadheading these, you wanna go all the way back and pinch it. You just kind of take it off right there. You don't want to leave the stalk because it will continue to grow. And so wherever you pinch it off, that's where it's going to throw up another bloom. But anyway, I love this little planter. It's literally just a tiny little terracotta pot with a red geranium. There's just nothing better than a red geranium. And I gotta deadhead these as well. But they're so pretty. This is another little hens and chicks planter that I have, and it is in a little hypertufa pot that I've had for, gosh, I don't know, probably 10 years with a bunch of hens and chicks in it. I just actually transplanted this chunk of hens and chicks into this pot because my other one I had it in broke. Over here I have a planter with the Berry Treasure strawberries. I have 2 pink and 2 red. They've already thrown on tons of strawberries that I've gotten. Again, this is up off of the ground on my deck, so the rabbits can't reach it. I know that they probably could hop up here and eat it from the deck, but they haven't yet. So, but anyway, it has tons of fruit on it and also some more flowers, but it's doing really great. I thought I would take you over here and show you how the butterbur is doing. So don't mind the weeds. I still have to get out here with some natural mulch. I'm gonna have my brother pick me up some on his trailer and dump it out here for me. But anyway, I'm actually pretty pleasantly surprised on how it's doing. So a lot of it is starting to stand up on its own, and it doesn't look the greatest, but you know, like these ones are starting to stand up on their own. You can see some of them are starting to stand up. The ones that didn't make it, so like this one right here, that one obviously, like, I don't know, it just died off and got crusty and the leaf fell off. It's sending up more already, which is pretty cool. So that's encouraging. But yeah, anyway, these ones are starting to stand up on their own. Same thing down here. This one that I had right here didn't make it, but it's sending up more already, which is just nuts to me. Same thing right here. This one looks a little bit questionable, but for some reason it sent up another one in right here. So I'm pretty excited about that. This one's standing up all on its own. Same thing right here. You can see these are new shoots right here. And I'm really excited about that. Obviously there's tons of weeds and Virginia creeper and it's just a mess down here. But that I really don't mind about that, because I kind of just want these butterbur to take over at least in this area and just create a nice big lush thick backdrop. So I don't really mind how it looks right now, because I know it's just a work in progress, and plus eventually I want to make a path through here. I'm pretty excited about how they're doing. I forgot I also had a little Tradescantia that I put in here. I had one little extra one, and so I just put it in this little hypertufa pot that I made, my sister and I made years ago, and then my mom got me like a few little fairies once upon a time, and so I stuck one of them in there. I showed you guys this planter over here the other day, possibly in the last movie, I can't really remember, but it is doing amazing. I love it. It just makes this little spot back here so bright. I mean, all these different colors in here, and the only actual flower really is this impatient, and you can't even, I mean, it's not even putting on that many flowers. The color of all these leaves together, the purple, the blue, the yellow, the green, the white with the lamium, it's just beautiful. And then like this euphorbia, this is in the full shade, like 100% full shade, and it's just doing really beautiful. I wasn't sure how the euphorbia would do, and I wish I had more of it in here. I wish I had like a little pocket over here and a pocket over there, but it's just fine. So this is that dragon wing canary begonia, the beacon impatient, euphorbia. This is just the generic euphoric white. This is the Tradescantia. There's a little heuchera on here that I actually wintered over. This is just a hosta I dug up from my yard. This is the Oh Cindy hosta. And I also have some lamium in here that I dug up from my yard. But I'm really happy with how that planter is looking back here. Over here, I wanted to show you my Incredible hydrangea. They are amazing. I had these 3 Incredible hydrangeas, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I had these planted up in more full sun. You guys, this is literally in full shade. This is where it's at. I mean, the sun pops through that little opening for about a half an hour, and then that's it. They get tons and tons of shade, and they do so much better back here. I just transplanted these back here this spring because they looked horrible where I had them. They were just basically sticks and they never really grew. They never got any beautiful green growth on them. They never bloomed hardly at all. And I'm just really happy with how they are doing back in this spot. So here's another one. Tons of blooms on it. And here's another one. Super full with lots of blooms. I wanted to show you how this little section is doing as well. It is not bad. I'm kind of waiting until it cools down a little bit and this stuff starts to die back, and that way I'll do a little bit more. But this, like spring, I guess, I came in here and put these steps in. My brother and I put these steps in here, the 3, and then I added 1, 2, 3, 4 myself. So these are basically just steps, and what I did was I put pea stone on them, and then every other one I put ajuga that I transplanted from a hill that I have over there, and then moss. So it's doing all right. I did have to come out here a couple different times after I first did this and fix the moss because the raccoon was out here digging around, and you can see there's a chipmunk hole right there, so I'm sure the chipmunks are out here as well. But yeah, it's doing pretty good. Most of the ajuga has rooted in and taken pretty well. The moss is doing really well. So this will be a nice little start to this project when I can finally come out here and spend a good amount of time cleaning all this stuff up. But you can see obviously all that has grown in. I had all this cleaned up, but the weeds have kind of taken over. But for the most part, it's not too bad. This little planter is doing great. I got all of these plants from my yard, or from my sister. So the impatiens and the tradescantia are from my sister. The heuchera, hosta, lamium, another heuchera. Those are all from my yard. And I got this little planter. Most of the terracotta planters and pots I got for free from my friend who was moving to the East Coast, and she had a bunch of planters to give away and she didn't want to travel with them, so she gave them to me. This little cast iron stand I found on the side of the road for free. Let's just walk up here and see if there's anything that we did. That's another one of the planters I got for free from my friend. That one as well. I don't think there's anything in here we really experimented with. That's another planter I got for free. The hosta I split the other day are doing great. They are getting a little bit nibbled on by the bunny. The delphinium I planted in here are doing really great. This one actually was falling over. I needed to stake it up, and I didn't have a long enough stake. So I was searching in my garage, and I found this cute little wooden bumblebee that I got, I think last summer at the farmer's market, and I completely forgot about it. So I was like, oh, I could use that to stake it up. And it works really good. Let's see. I did come in here and cut back on my Landseer the other day. It was just getting really, really out of control. There's a ton of shoots that were coming up, so I was like, well, it'll be fine. I can leave those new shoots for the bumblebees. Let's go up here. I'll show you how the island bed is doing. So this year I had a ton of extra impatiens that my sister grew me, and I didn't know where to put them all, so I just planted them all in here. I didn't think about the critter situation up here. So this bed right here is the closest to the farmer's field over there, where we have tons of deer, and rabbit live in that brush right there, and they come out and they nibble on things, and they have been eating these impatiens all season long. Ever since I planted them, they just keep eating them. Anytime it throws up some more growth, the bunnies come out and eat them. The other day I was out here and I seen 3 bunnies just run from this section. And one day I was driving away in the morning to go somewhere, and there's a bunny out here just like nibbling on all of these. I just know I won't be planting impatiens out here again. I'll probably just stick to the begonias like I usually do. But you can see how many times they got eaten. So this probably got eaten like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times, and just got eaten again right there. So every time it gets eaten, it throws up another shoot. So, man, these would be beautiful plants if the bunnies would just leave them alone. They'd be super bushy with lots of different flower shoots, but they're not going to allow that to happen. Kind of a learning experience that I had out here this year. I wouldn't say it's a failure, because I learned not to do something. I learned that this area right here is more prone for deer and rabbit nibbling. Therefore, I will save that little note for next season and the seasons to come, and we will plant accordingly. But one cool thing is this is the most beautiful my bobo hydrangeas have ever looked out here. They have never bloomed this much before, and I love them. This is the 3rd year that I've had them. So the 1st and 2nd year they were kind of iffy. This year they are just doing beautiful. So I'm really excited about that. They just have the most beautiful dainty little flowers on them. Bobo is one of my favorite panicle hydrangeas, but also one of my favorite hydrangeas just in general. So let's make our way to the mailbox bed. I love this mailbox bed so much. It just looks so beautiful and patriotic. I love the red, white, and blue. I feel like I'm totally gonna do this combination again next year. So I've got the red big begonia, and this is what I'm talking about with the leaf. So this red big begonia leaf, it almost turns red. And as the summer progresses, it will get even more red, and it'll almost turn to this color red. So that's why I love that plant so much. But I do have the euphoric white euphorbia planted in there for the white, and then the blue salvia for the blue. And the majority of this blue salvia came back from last season. I think I only planted like a couple plants there and a couple plants on the other side this year, and the rest of it came back. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out this year. The only thing I would do differently is I'd plant the euphorbia in the front and then the red begonia in the middle. When I looked at the tag, they were very similar in height, but the euphorbia actually said it was a little bit taller than the begonia, and so that's why I did that. But this is much more bolder of a plant and a flower and a leaf, so taking that into consideration, I'll probably next year just plant this in the middle that way, because if you look at it like this, you can't really hardly see it, but I mean it's still beautiful. And I really wanted to do like red, white, and blue like the flag. So anyway, I'm really excited about this mailbox bed. It's one of my favorite because it reminds me of my brother who is in the military, and every time I see it, I just send up a prayer for him and just really take a second to think about my freedom as an American and what it took for that to happen for me and how grateful I am for that. So I love that little reminder every single day out there. It's awesome. A couple of more little things that I want to show you is this planter up here. This planter is also one of my favorites. It's got the Mystic Illusion dahlia in it, the boldly lavender rose, I think, the boldly lavender rose geranium, and then the Waikiki sunset lysimachia, along with a little tomato here, good-hearted tomato, I think. So this planter is so beautiful. I love this dahlia so much, and one of you guys told me that I could save the dahlia tuber, so I'm going to try to do that this year as well. We'll see how it goes. But this planter has been amazing, and I've already gotten so many little tomatoes off of this planter. I just love it so much. I got a few more on there, but yeah, it's just been such a beautiful planter, and it just keeps blooming and blooming like crazy. This planter up here, my sister gave me like a ton of plugs of Tradescantia. They were super tiny when I planted it, and it is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love it so much. And this color is going to take me into the, I dare not say it, the dreaded F word, fall. It's going to take me into the fall season, and because it kind of almost looks a little bit Halloween-y. That's why I love this planter so much. I don't have to spend money on another planter for fall. I just let this one take me right into the next season to the next. And I did rearrange this a little bit because my mom came over and she got me another mangave for my mangave collection. This one's called Racing Stripes. So she picked that one up for me, and I moved my little girl there. This planter is doing ridiculous as well. It is just growing so much. This was a couple of tiny little plugs too of Tradescantia that I got from my sister, and it's really beautiful. And then I just put these little planters over here in this corner just for something different. Well, thank you guys so much for poking on this movie and watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming along with me as I try new things and experiment with different plants and different exposures and different areas of my garden. It's a lot of fun to hear your suggestions and your guys' experiences too with the things that you're trying. So I hope you enjoy just walking around and seeing how my planters are doing and the different projects that I tried out this season. So I hope that you just have a wonderful day and you're enjoying your time out in your garden as well. We'll see you later. Bye.